Revelation chapter 13 and verse 16, it's quite clear. He causes all, both small and great, rich and poor, free or slave, to receive a mark on their right hand or on their forehead, and no one may buy or sell except one who has the mark or the name of the beast or the number of his name. Perhaps the mark of the beast is simply apathy. And perhaps we already have it. Perhaps it's deliberately ignoring the desperate plight of the poor. Perhaps by allowing our minds to become seared, as Paul said, as if with a hot iron, we take the mark of the beast. And because we don't think about the poor, we don't think about them, we pretend even that they're not even there. And we carry on our lives as if they don't exist, buying and selling, eating chocolate cake, worshipping at the altar of indifference, and we take the mark of the beast without even realizing it. I've looked very carefully through the book of Revelation. Nowhere in that book does it say it's a computer chip. Nowhere in that book does it say it's a tattoo. Nowhere in that book does it say somebody's going to come along and do it to you. You simply take it. Perhaps we've already taken it. Hunger is surely one of the worst of the horsemen of the apocalypse that afflict the poor. In Haiti, where Pastor Ron has been, in Haiti, where 3/4 of the population earn less than $2 a day, and 1 child in 5 is chronically malnourished. You know, the one business that is booming amid all the gloom of this current recession is the selling of hamburger patties. But these hamburger patties are made of mud. Mud mixed with oil and sugar. And they are consumed by the most desperate. It's salty, but it has butter, which enables you to digest it. But it's really just a smooth yellow clay. They eat dirt so that they can stay alive. Makes their stomachs quieten down. See, most of the poorest of the poor suffer silently. They're too weak and too busy raising the next generation of the hungry. I read an article off the internet from a newspaper reporter who was interviewing people in a slum district in Haiti. She interviewed Placide Simon, a young mother. Placide Simon offered one of her 5 children to a stranger. "Take one," she said, as she held a listless baby and indicated 4 stick-thin toddlers, none of whom had eaten that day. "Pick one. Take one. Just feed them." Can you imagine your children so hungry that you would offer to give them to strangers, just so that they could live? It's unthinkable to us. Most of us have never been truly hungry. So it's very difficult to understand what hunger means to the poor. But I can tell you that its impact goes beyond the pangs and discomfort that accompanies it. Hunger affects the human spirit. And perhaps the most destructive part of all is the desperation that it provokes, the desperation that must be felt by parents who know that there will be no food today, and probably none tomorrow. How are they going to feed their children? And it would be this thought that colours every aspect of their life. Every day, each day, becomes a struggle to survive. Everything else has to be put aside in the relentless quest for food. No work, no education, no social interaction, no play, everything ignored for the quest of food. In numbers, chronic hunger and malnutrition are one of the fiercest of the apocalyptic horsemen. 1 in every 7 people in the world do not have enough food to keep themselves alive. It's the #1 killer by miles. Approximately 25,000 people each day die of hunger or related causes. The Black Horse represents starvation and deprivation like the world has never seen, like it's experiencing now. Outside the ancient walls of the city of Kano in northern Nigeria, there is a huge lake. The water is bright green and the smell is putrid. The lake is fed by a mixture of raw sewage and rainwater that filters through the huge rubbish tip that surrounds it. On the rubbish tip, children scavenge for things that they can recycle: metal, bottles or jars, rags, anything. But the shame of this place is that as more and more rubbish is pushed into the lake, children, mostly young boys, dive into the water to get the rubbish that others can't reach. The moment they do that, the moment they hit the water, they're dead. Killed by a multitude of diseases which are caught from the sewage-infected water. It may take a month, it may take a year, but they are dying. In Cambodia, 1/3 of the population of 12 million don't earn enough to eat 2 meals a day. The garbage dump that 16-year-old Simone has been scavenging on for the past year is highlighted by 6-metre-high hills of refuse that thicken the air with the nauseating smell of decay. And the slippery ground is covered with a carpet of flies that rise up in black buzzing clouds on being disturbed. Simone was pulled out of school by her family in order to help her father, a rickshaw driver, pay off the penalty interest incurred on the loan he took out to purchase his rickshaw. And her father could not make the payments on his loan, so penalty rates began to mount up. It's unlikely that this loan will ever be repaid, and if that's the case, then Simone will be indentured to work in a factory which produces hazardous chemicals. Now, the amazing thing about this is that the penalty interest amounts to just $2 a day. And for an amount of just over $100, the whole debt could be retired. The Bible is clear, right from the Old Testament and through the New, that God's people have a responsibility to see that everyone in their society is cared for at a basic needs level. Ruth was able to glean wheat from Boaz's field because God had instructed those who controlled the land not to harvest everything, so that there would be food left over for the poor.